Just tell her I'm busy acting or something. Oh, good evening. I'm Phil Hartman from the NBC sitcom.
NewsRadio.
Yes, exactly. If you're a frequent viewer of our show, or even if you, like myself, only tune in from time to time by accident, every now and again we, and by we, I mean the inconsiderate jerks who write this crap and then force me to say it, we like to kick back and say, what if?
Salutations all, this is Juiciest Slice. May 28th, 2023 marks the 25th anniversary of the tragic death of the irrepressible, irreproachable, and irreplaceable raconteur and all-around swell guy, the whiz-bang and all-around banger, Phil Hartman. And I figured I should do something to try to honor the man.
Not so fast.
Because this channel clearly qualifies me for such a task.
The man's going nuts and we've got front row seats.
Granted, this is a divergence from my usual fare, but I think I'm up for the task.
Yeah, whatever.
Thank you for taking the time to check this out. I deeply appreciate it.
But there's nothing I can do to make you change your mind.
If anything about this trips your fancy, please like, subscribe, and share.
This is outrageous! This is unbelievable! The man's a total fraud. I have a way of sniffing these things out.
I'll take that as a solid endorsement.
Oh, please don't patronize me.
Anyhow,
I'm only going to go through this once, so it's essential that you pay attention.
It's hot.
Damn, it's going to get a whole lot hotter.
so without further ado,
You've broken my script. What can I do but turn around and go home?
you might want to stick around, because this is going to be a Phil Hartman love fest.
That's right, baby. Eat it up, eat it all up.
For anyone who doesn't know, he was an enormously talented actor and comedic genius, maestro, savant, prodigy, whatever you want to call it,
Well, yes.
with a seemingly inborn yen for inspiring laughs, yucks, and chuckles by the boatload.
Just wanted to apologize for that outburst.
That statement was made at a very emotional moment. I only ask you to respect that.
Thorough in his approach, and possessing a rapier's wit, with a look, a stance, and a few words, he could establish a character with seemingly minimal effort, and sell the most absurd,
Hello and welcome to the Anal Retentive Chef.
or ludicrous concepts.
I'm just a caveman. I fell in some ice and later got thawed out by some of your scientists. Your world frightens and confuses me.
How was he able to achieve this? Flourish, finesse, flash, and fearlessness. Since showmanship was so innate, it was part of his makeup down to his cells, his genetics, the very molecules that made up his being.
That's getting a little personal, isn't it?
It was just obvious he was a born performer, that he possessed an intrinsic talent he was able to harness into a successful stage and screen career.
Sounds like a winner. I'm impressed.
So much more than a funny man, during his tenure at Saturday Night Live, he was affectionately called the Glue for his ability to step in and make any sketch work with his timing, aplomb, and panache.
Mighty oaks from little acorns grow.
If his talent was a form of insanity, he was certifiably cuckoo.
Yeah, clinically insane like a fox.
Way back, he played a chillingly hilarious version of President Ronald Reagan right out of liberals' worst nightmares, and one moment a kindly and doddering old man for the press.
Well, I hope I've answered your questions as best I could, given the very little that I know. Goodbye, and God bless you.
Or a photo op.
Well, hello, little girl. What's your name?
Lisa Myers.
Well, Lisa, if you're that good a sales lady, maybe I could use you up on Capitol Hill.
But behind the scenes, a Machiavellian madman.
Okay, get back in here. All right, let's get down to business. I'm only going to go through this once, so it's essential that you pay attention. One, Casey. Yes, sir. You'll spearhead our new operation to fund the Contras.
Pulling all the strings.
You don't need to understand.
I'm the president. Only I need to understand. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. All right. Carlucci, you're new. Here's how we do things. The red countries are the countries we sell arms to.
But then he didn't shy away from offending a celebrity or the audience with an unflattering impression.
Issue number 4. Milli Vanilli, what is this faggot crap? Uncle Fester.
Frank Sinatra was still alive when this aired, and with his reputed mob ties, probably not the safest move. But Phil was never above putting his neck on the line for the sake of a joke. No knock on Darrell Hammond, but Phil was the quintessential Bill Clinton.
Jim, let me tell you something. There's going to be a whole bunch of things we don't tell Mrs. Clinton. Fast food is the least of our worries, okay, buddy? Oh my God.
And maybe a little too on the nose.
What exactly are you implying?
Not a controversial statement. His contribution to the early seasons of The Simpsons, from the actor and spokesman Troy McClure.
Gay? I wish. If I were gay, there'd be no problem. No, what I have is a romantic abnormality. One so unbelievable that it must be hidden from the public at all costs.
To ambulance-chasing lawyer and general shyster Lionel Hutz.
Listen, it's time I let you in on a little secret, Marge. The right house is the house that's for sale. The right person is anyone.
And don't forget the monorail salesman.
Oh, I could give you an answer, but the only ones who'd understand it would be you and me. And that includes your teacher.
Lent a lot to what are considered the series' golden years.
I rest my case.
Following his hugely successful SNL run,
Is it a case of too much too soon or too little too late? Listen and judge for yourself.
Phil was cast to play on-air talent, broadcaster,
Bill McNeill. Bill McNeill who? That's really all I have so far.
on the sitcom NewsRadio. His masterstroke, his magnum opus, Bill can't be summed up simply, and it gets into some wild territory.
So bring it on, I can take it.
So I'll start with the words of someone close to him.
Bill, you are the most selfish, insecure, egotistical freak it has ever been my misfortune to work with. He is the most selfless, humble, and confident man it has ever been my pleasure to work with.
This has gotten completely out of hand.
On the one hand, Bill had such a high opinion of himself he felt an A-lister should humor his musings.
Technical details.
Yeah, like, what kind of headphones you wear, how you wear them, that kind of thing, you know?
Right, like what makes a guy like me tick. Where to start, where to start.
Yet, despite boasting his life experience would make the prospect effortless,
Perhaps one day I'll publish these musings under the title, A Journalist's Credo.
couldn't write an autobiography even if his life depended on it.
I haven't written a word. That my life couldn't fill up a haiku, much less a book.
Quick to change his opinion at the drop of a hat to grovel to a celebrity.
I was here for a debate.
A debate? No, how utterly whack that would be, yo.
To push boundaries with a coworker with whom he once shared a secret office romance because he knows he can push her buttons and she'll ultimately be forgiving.
You may be 36, but you still have all the spark and sass of a 35-year-old.
Catherine put up with a lot. Or to reject a beautiful model offhand.
Whoa! You're Bill McNeil, I hear.
Yes, I am. Thanks for listening. Bye now.
He was a provocateur
What I'm talking about is a full-scale revolt.
and instigator.
To the stairwell to life!
Bill, they said the safest place is to stay here.
The devil mixes his lies with the truth, people. Let's go!
Though it rarely worked out in his favor.
Hi there. Hey, welcome back. How's it going? How you doing? Hi there.
Often showing him to be a petulant and foolhardy man.
So, the claws come out.
Although he wrapped himself in a thick enough layer of denial to insulate his swagger from all but the worst attacks.
Very spiffy, Bill.
Thank you.
In a sleazy sort of way.
But that was the thing about Bill. He was at once the most arrogant
I guess I'm just guilty of being me, which is a crime, but maybe it should be.
and insecure guy in the room.
I think I've got a title.
What is it?
I Suck, the Bill McNeill story.
A bit inappropriate,
I think we hear what you're saying. You'd like us to leave the room so you can do it right now? Excuse me, Dave. I was just wondering. I'm sorry. This is a bad time.
How could she French her daddy?
You know what, Bill? I'm getting very uncomfortable with that particular metaphor. So,
but ineffably charming.
Honey, I'm sorry I got angry at you about announcing my birthday.
That's okay. You're a Scorpio. I've become accustomed to your sting.
And completely engaged.
Sorry I'm late, everyone. I was meditating.
He was sleeping.
Right, and Gandhi was just a lazy little goof who slept about 18 hours a day.
Or absolutely indifferent.
Well, to tell the truth, Dave, I tend to zone out unless my name is mentioned.
Bill could be obnoxious and insufferable.
This conflict is very stressful for me. I think I'll relax in private. I'll be in my cubicle.
Or kind and caring.
Remarkable.
Those dimensions are there, they're just unexplored.
Quick to torture one co-worker.
Okay, is Mathew getting fired?
No.
No decision yet, Mathew.
Hey, what was that new title you came up with for me?
I can't remember. I'll get back to you.
Evidently, there was method to the madness in these hijinks.
I was only trying to toughen you up for that cruel world out there where a person like you is easy prey for those of us who are stronger and smarter.
Thanks.
Or come to another's defense.
You can say whatever you want to me, but you do not tell the lady to shut up.
Dave is quite simply the best news director I've ever worked with.
But
What? No, I really mean it.
He was a man who, to make a good first impression, would lie through his teeth.
That's I hear you the best, buddy.
Where did you hear that?
I heard your audition tape. Good stuff, good pipes, clean delivery.
I didn't send in a tape.
And when failing to shamelessly curry favor.
I didn't realize you were a man of such strong conviction. Of such deeply felt moral tenacity, of such remarkable centeredness.
All right, Bill, I'm not going to be sucked up to either.
Was quick to show the shallow dichotomy of his character.
Well, you've eliminated all my options. All that's left is backstabbing.
He always had a tendency towards conflation,
you ever had a farm?
Farm, boat, same difference.
even to his own detriment.
Okay, who's trying to kill you, Bill?
There's a guy out in front of the building, every morning when I come in and every night when I'm leaving.
Oh, is this the guy with the eye patch?
When one level of paranoia led him to procuring.
I'm assuming you crafted this with your own hands. What makes you say that? The liberal use of paper clips and duct tape was sort of a tip-off.
An improvised taser.
Seems like it should be heavier.
And another led him to testing it. In so doing, he put himself in the worst position possible, had his assumptions been confirmed.
Mr. McNeil, you're a hard man to get hold of. Looks like it's just you and me now.
And proved Catherine right.
Probably just wants an autograph or something.
And in so doing, also proved the veracity of Occam's razor.
I almost forgot why I came here in the first place. I work at the coffee shop across the street. We were wondering if we could have a picture of you for above the counter.
Perhaps running from or assuaging his demons, he was a man with a rich inner life, delving deeply into fantasy, and had a penchant for wool gathering.
Okay, Bill? So how do you like it, big boy?
Without conversation.
Reverie.
This is very hard for me to say, especially since I care so much about all of you.
And daydreaming.
My whole life till this point was merely prelude to this wonderful moment.
But he was career-driven too. He'd do anything for a story or a good soundbite, whether it meant going out on a ledge.
Mike has a statement.
Or piecing together an interaction with a celebrity to suit his needs.
What kind of jobs did you have?
Screw this. No more questions.
Jerry, I'm just trying to do my job.
Well, there are better ways to do it.
Maybe.
Bill, you're really starting to take me off.
Why is that, Jerry?
I'm nuts, Bill.
I know nothing about that. Or running with an imitation of a sitting president to the extent he's called to testify before the Senate.
And to prove that I do not stand here alone,
I'd like to read a brief letter from the president. But I want you to remember one thing. Don't let those fat bastards in the Senate get you down.
And why? For the sake of journalistic integrity? Maybe in a simpler world.
But ours is not a simple world.
But Bill was motivated by other things.
And well, there's nothing wrong with a grown man trying to correct the childhood trauma of a broken home.
I didn't come from a broken home.
I was talking about me.
In regard to facing personal failure,
Disappointed. They'll be overjoyed. This is just what they've been waiting to see. Bill McNeill falling flat on his ass.
Bill's concerns reflected the side of him with an inflated ego perfectly.
What?
Perception meant more than reality, and Bill's perception was that he was the center of the universe, a sensationalistic dynamo that took precedence.
Screw your problem, I'm talking about me.
Since in moments of peak he often unspooled before our eyes, it seems he was overall defined by containing a deep reservoir of pain that left him a lifelong frayed nerve.
I've never felt so deeply and hurtfully violated in all my life.
Weirdly, even with a pathology as twisted as his, he was a man seemingly always on the verge of spiraling out. He had no illusions about his status and reputation.
But look at it this way. Even if I completely betrayed you and blabbed it to everyone, no one would believe me.
Why's that?
Because I'm widely considered to be an inveterate liar, and rightly so.
And could humble himself.
Oh, I didn't realize I was humbling myself.
Scratch that. A man of numerous facets, he always walked a line, unbothered and percolating with pageantry, while also anxious and brimming with underlying diffidence. Bill could be whimsical. Or fly off the handle over a mix-up.
Who did this? Whose food is this? This desk is not a steam table. Whose food is this? Bill McNeill? Oh, right.
Had at least a passing acquaintanceship with his emotions.
Yeah? Where were you last night around 3 a.m. when I was watching Steel Magnolias and crying my eyes out?
Though he didn't want it getting around.
If you ever tell anyone about Steel Magnolias, I'll kill you. It would take a robot not to cry at that movie.
Of course, when mixing it up.
When was the last time you cried?
Really cried? Let me think. Cal Ripken broke the record. I got kind of a lump in my throat.
You got a lump in your throat?
He wasn't above weaponizing how in touch with his emotions he could be.
Yes, I suppose I got a lump in my throat, too. That was before I started crying so hard I had to run to that bathroom and lock myself in the stall.
If it resulted in him making a brutal if hyperbolic point.
Yeah, okay, Bill.
Then when I got out, the ovation was still going. That just set me off again. Go ahead, laugh. It's your nature.
And was enough of an elitist to treat monetary damages as a poor person's fine and an affluent person's tax.
What you're doing is punishable by a $100 fine.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Sometimes when he spoke on a broader issue, it was insight into very personal feelings.
They're far from their families. The women are childless. And the men are, to put it delicately, lonely.
One of Bill's driving forces was an unfulfilled obsession with seeing co-worker Lisa naked. So much so he broached it in one of the letters he wrote in case of his untimely death.
Dearest Lisa, I'm sorry I was so obsessed with what you might look like naked.
In which he pontificated.
I'm even more sorry that I never actually got the chance to see you naked.
At length.
Please think of me the next time you are naked. Because if it is at all possible to become a ghost, I will be there, appreciating you and all of your naked splendor.
In today's hot-button Me Too climate, this seems like an HR nightmare, but it showed the discretionary nature of taking offense, since Lisa never did. Much like Catherine, Lisa seemed to view Bill as mildly annoying at best, and not any kind of threat, acting out of misguided machismo and bluster, and at worst a bug to be swatted.
If you and the rest of the vultures are through feasting on my entrails, I have a job to do.
I wouldn't say she put up with all he gave good-naturedly so much as just put up with it. But because he was little more than a nuisance, It was all water off a duck's back. The thing about Lisa, she was tough as nails and could give as good as she got.
Say anything.
You were thinking it.
And if she so desired, she could not only put Bill in his place, but leave him.
I would appreciate it if you would refrain from making implausible insinuations about my sex life.
You got it. Although I think the word implausible is a little strong.
Shattered.
If you were the last man on Earth, not only would I not have sex with you, I would migrate to another continent and probably kill myself with a boulder to make sure that your genes didn't live on. Do you understand?
Sorry.
Bill was one of those guys always on the threshold of true greatness that seemed to elude him. But that isn't really true.
Why on earth would you do something like that?
To drive you crazy.
Well, it didn't work!
Because Bill was great. All said, he made an excellent paradox, an individual more nuanced than his heirs would suggest, who saddled a lot of pain and took it out on others with petty torments. Someone to despise yet root for. A lovable jerk aware enough of his own shortcomings to forgive his worst transgressions. Was all of this build-up necessary? To that I would say,
I don't know, I just like to cover my bases.
So, that brings us to the theory I'm presenting in this video. In the second episode of Season 4 of NewsRadio, the station's eccentric billionaire owner...
Read your act of God clause into the page.
Jimmy James will hereafter, and for the purposes of this contract, only be referred to as God.
engaged the talent of an efficiency expert who determined that news director Dave...
Well, it looks like you've been hoisted on your own petard.
Look, he can be slow-witted, but there's no need for name-calling.
and producer-reporter Lisa...
What do you talk about me?
I hardly think that's your business.
should trade jobs, something Lisa had wanted for some time. Of course, once she's boss, she realizes she doesn't really like the job.
I don't want to be boss anymore.
And would prefer to return to her previous position. Dave, meanwhile, after a period of attempting to reclaim his former post, realized he also preferred not to be boss. Jimmy attempted to have them vie for the position, but both offered a lackluster accounting of their desire, leading to an interoffice election to establish who would take up the mantle of boss. Each employee comes to Dave and in confidence tells him they back him. But lo and behold...
First one is for Lisa. Very good. Second one right here is for Lisa again.
all 4 votes go to Lisa.
And we got third one for Lisa, and the last one is for Lisa. People have...
It's revealed at this time that each had hedged their bets by telling both candidates the same thing. While Beth, Joe, and Mathew don't protest their votes, Bill claims that he voted for Dave.
I voted for you.
No, you didn't, Bill.
No one did.
And demands a recount.
Okay. Lisa, and Lisa. Well, there you go.
Once again demonstrating Jimmy's eccentricity.
Hey, don't talk about my crazy man that way.
He declares Dave the boss.
Lisa is the people's choice. Huh? That it? So I guess that's the deal. That seals it, Dave. You are the boss. Welcome back.
For very sound reasons.
What? Yes.
Yeah, the results speak for themselves. See, Lisa is the boss everyone likes. Dave's the boss everyone respects, and I want a boss everyone respects.
Me too.
Shut up.
And the matter is closed. Bill attempts to console Dave, explaining why each of the others voted for Lisa.
Joe voted using a computerized random number generator. Beth voted against you because Lisa gets fewer phone calls and doesn't like coffee. And Mathew, of course, is a lifelong Republican, so he had no choice.
But of himself voting for Dave?
I still think I did. This is one of those things we'll probably never know the full truth of.
Bill can be a self-serving, jaded guy, looking out for his own self-interests. But this is a case where I don't think he had reason to lie.
Trust no one.
I posit that Bill did in fact believe at the time he was casting a vote for Dave. Believe he did in fact vote for Dave. And where the disconnection happened was when he was casting the vote. What disconnect? one called Distraction, Sexual Distraction. I believe when he intended to write Dave's name, he by chance glanced Lisa's way, and perhaps considered what she would look like naked, or maybe even experienced a full-on fantasy.
Oh, Bill. My entire life up till now has been merely prelude to this wonderful moment.
I, too, have been watching you from afar with a longing in my heart. But we mustn't. It is taboo.
My temptation must not be denied.
Love is indeed a heady elixir.
Not love, Bill. Lust. Pure animal lust with no emotional ramifications or entanglements whatsoever.
With Bill's history of slipping into daydreams and otherwise dwelling in his own mind, it seems like these fancies come upon him quite readily. It makes it easy for me to conclude he very well mentally meandered into up-in-the-clouds flight of the imagination territory. With his mind wrapped up in Lisa, instead of writing Dave, his hand absent-mindedly put down Lisa's name instead of Dave's, and inadvertently made the vote unanimous.
Case closed.
This theory was neither here nor there, just a little lark, but it was a good excuse to analyze Bill McNeil and offer a glimpse into the remarkable career of the indelible Phil Hartman. I wanted to find a way to honor him, and this was the best I could come up with. Because other than portraying Frankenstein on SNL, he wasn't a horror guy. What qualifies a horror channel to speak on Mr. Hartman? I would say the circumstances of his death epitomize horror. If going to sleep on a couch only to be shot in the head by your spouse, the worst of betrayals, isn't horrific, I don't know what is. His death also affected me a great deal personally. Along with John Khandi and Chris Farley, the three made up a trifecta of tragedy that showed me even my heroes were subject to being taken way too soon. As a watcher of NewsRadio, it was sad on a whole other level. We can be sad for the roles we hear an actor who has passed was going to play, but it's worse when they were actively in a role, especially a beloved one. Not only did Phil die, Bill did too, struck down not by a bullet, but a heart attack. I want to believe there was some point to Phil Hartman's death. A lesson about familial degradation and the sour effects of drug addiction, but really, that's just applying meaning retrospectively to feel better about something that was ultimately a wanton and senseless act that went down because sometimes bad things happen in life. All shooting stars burn out in the end. Only Phil Hartman's arc across our skies should have lasted a little longer. But I figured out a long time ago not to center on all that, but to instead look to the breadth of his work and be happy for what he left us. I have a feeling that's what he would want. Not to be remembered for the sad exclamation point at the end of his story, but all the laughs that filled up the chapters along the way.
Whatever gets you through the night.
Knowing a quarter of a century later he's still remembered, still cherished, I hope this video that acts as something of a tribute would make him proud.
Anything less than 3 hours I will consider a colossal failure.
C'est la vie. I guess we can't always get what we want.
Envy not that which not need be possessed. When he does come crawling back, that's when you kick him away.
I would absolutely suggest checking out Phil Hartman's whole filmography. I stuck to his television work for this video, but he also did many notable film roles.
Today we just needed a chance to,
Shake out the silliness.
Please don't finish my sentences.
Well, I've about reached the end of the rope, so I won't leave you dangling. Thanks for humoring my ramblings. Please share any refutations, opinions, accusations, japes, or other ideas in the comments below. And please join me next time when I cover one of my favorite lesser-known slashers. This one of the Killer Mountain Man variety, Jeff Lieberman's foray into the deep woods just before dawn. Bye now.
I'll tell you what, I'll go downstairs and check.